All right. Into game, who even knows what? I'm not sure what number game this is tonight. But into our next game, we have a really, really star-studded lineup. Bella, who we've seen over the past few games, over the past few days, do extremely well. Zion Spartan, even his mother calls him Zion Spartan. Odd one on Vi, that should be something exciting. He's definitely got a lot of experience jungling Vi. Uranium, who's actually a player I haven't seen for a while now, but was a player that was very, very common to see in streams. He might have even been streaming on his own for a while. Turno, who we've seen the previous couple days. Nidus Herman is up on support. Chunky Sucks, we just saw him play a great Gragas. He's going with that mid lane Kha'Zix. Turno's really trying for a kill here on Rekery. Rekery does a good job of pushing them back off. He did use his barrier, but it's okay because he's still healthy enough to be a good threat. This is both junglers here for blue and red looking to make a top lane gank. Odd one going to get counter jungled here. Probably not too much of a huge threat. I would think Odd One, Zion Spartan are going to put out way more damage. And my thinking would be right. They just annihilate Yeppo, who's playing Lee Sin. Yeppo, not a name that I recognize. He's at the bottom with Turno, so it could be that Yeppo and Turno are duo queuing, but we don't know. And of course, Zane King up on the top on Mundo. Zane King, really, really an exceptional player. I can see why he made it to challenge the LCS teams. I don't believe his team made it in. If I recall correctly, they were beaten. But he's a really, really phenomenal top lane player. We've seen him do great over the past few games that he's been in. Bella, I'm not sure what Bella means. Seen him jungle, seen him support, seen him top. Not quite sure where he likes to be. Still a very good player. We'll have to see if he can step up to his previous performances that he's had. So now a lot of pressure is going to be on Yeppo here. He's got to try to catch up to his jungling opponent, Lee Sin there. He's going to have a really... Sorry, he is Lee Sin. His jungling opponent, Odd One on Vi. He's going to have a really hard time. Lee Sin, a champion that can be very powerful, yes. But if he gets behind early, he really, really struggles to scale into the late game in the way that he needs to. In order to be really effective later on in the game, Lee Sin needs to have an early game that helps build him there. Now he's got a great gank attempt going on Zion Spartan, but I doubt they're going to be able to pick up this kill. They are not. They both have to get out. Leave Zane King really low, but of course Mundo has exceptionally good health regeneration. He shouldn't have any big issue dealing with that. My dog is actually joining me now in the basement. I think someone's firing off fireworks. That's making him a very scared pup. It's alright, Quiz Doggy. So now Bella has been really struggling in the bot lane. She's been getting bullied very hard by Turno and Nidus, and that's not too surprising. Ooh, blinking. Let's figure this out. Zyra is a very squishy champion, and she's up against a really heavy damage output champion, a really bursty AD champion in the form of Graves, and of course Alistar, a very good champion at holding people in place, and his damage should not be laughed at. The base damages on Headbutt and Knockout pretty high. Not to forget, he's also doing DPS while standing near you once he's used those abilities. So by their powers combined, they've been giving Bella an extremely hard time and really, really bullying her in the lane. Zion Spartan currently 0-0-1. I would say he's beating Mundo, but it's actually quite even, so it's not necessarily fair to say who's winning yet. That lane is still to be determined as we get our champions figured out here, get everyone matched up against their opponents. Now it would appear that Chunky Sucks on Kha'Zix is really struggling against the Ziggs played by Uranium. Not surprising. Don't think that says much about Chunky Sucks Kha'Zix play, because Ziggs is just an exceptionally hard champion to lane against. Really, for most champions in the game, in the laning phase, Ziggs is stronger, but certainly against a melee champion with really short range like Kha'Zix. If he really was that worried about keeping up in farm, his best bet would be to power level his W and evolve it first. But I imagine he doesn't mind that much falling behind in CS. His goal right now is to survive so he can get to 6 and start looking for really good roams where he can combine his evolved Q, proccing his passive, and his ultimate, bringing that up. So we'll have to see once he hits 6 if he starts looking around for different ganks or even going aggressive on Ziggs. There's a good chance he could start turning the fight onto Ziggs once they hit 6. Rekery here getting bursted out really, really hard. by Nidus Herman and Turno. Manages to flash at the last second possible so he doesn't get headbutted back towards Turno. Really good flash by Rekery. Not necessarily that good of him to get caught in the first place, but a really good job of not getting headbutted back. He would have been dead like he is right here. This time he's not able to escape that. Alistar, of course, flashed for it, so not much you can necessarily do in those scenarios. And Nidus Herman showing why Alistar is starting to become a slightly more popular support these days. AF Bella probably just going to get dove here. Yes, Yeppo is going to go for it. He do not care. He goes where he pleases. Chunky Sucks getting comboed down by Iranium and the Odd One. Not a whole lot he's going to be able to do there. Odd One most likely ulted into that fight. Yes, he did. So especially when you're held in place by a Vi, it becomes a really exceptionally easy for Iranium to land all of those Ziggs abilities. And there's not going to be a whole lot you can do to try to counter that. The blue takes middle turret out of this. Something Ziggs is exceptionally good at. No surprise that it didn't take them very long to drop it. Ziggs is honestly, truly, essentially designed to push the lane and push towers. That is what his kit is for, providing really strong objective pressure like that. Zion Spartan takes a tower shot, and that signals Zanking that he wants to try to go all in for this now. And it looks like he could come out on top. Maybe, oh yes, with a fadeaway cleaver throw. He actually was going to lose that fight there if he did not land that cleaver, because he still had an Akali Q proc on him, and if Akali had managed to activate that, he would have died. But instead, he manages to flash away before she can get the auto to proc that Q mark, and he hits her with a cleaver to drop her down. Now, Rekery and Bella still struggling very greatly in the bottom lane. Honestly, to be only 10 CS down against the Graves, based on how the lane is played out, is really good. But I doubt we'll see much coming out of them. They're just stuck in such an incredibly difficult position at this point. Graves is 2-0. He's up an entire BF sword on Jinx. And not to mention Graves is already pretty snowbally anyway because he's so burst oriented. If Graves gets ahead of you, you're toast in the lane because at any point he wants, he'll just hit you with his Q and his ult and you'll be nearly dead, if not actually dead. So, bottom lane, pretty much a lost cause at this point, even though the gold is so close, just because of the nature of Graves and Alistar. Now, Chunky Sucks doing a pretty good job of dodging the Iranium skill shots, but he is still struggling very much in that lane. He's down nearly 30 CS. We'll see. It's going to end up 25. Okay, so he's down 25 CS. Definitely causing him problems. I wouldn't be, yep, I was going to say, I wouldn't be surprised if he's down a level. He is. It's level 7 to level 8. We see Odd One and Iranium pressuring the blue buff. Looks like they did, in fact, come up with it. Remember, Odd One's stronger than Yeppo at this point in time. And Iranium's stronger than Chunky Sucks. Now, Graves manages to avoid death, and we could see a turnaround here in the favor of red mid and jungle, as they're able to down Iranium and overall win the fight. This is still bad for the blue bottom lane because they're the ones that need their team to be winning the fight so they don't fall behind. Zion Spartan somehow manages to roam down. He doesn't have teleport, so he didn't teleport down. Zane King did teleport down, and now we have all 5 members of both teams in the bottom lane. Really kind of an interesting turn of events. You don't see that very often. All 5 bottom for a spontaneous fight 11 minutes into the game. But it just goes to show that these are the players that are really, really good at following up on action that happens on the map. And for those of us like myself who are in the lower levels of play, we can gain from this just how important top level players feel it is to follow a fight or follow their laner to a fight. Remember, everyone came down for this. Every single person decided that it was important to try to follow up on this fight at bottom. So anytime you see your laner start heading out, don't be afraid to follow, because the best players find that to be an extremely important thing to do. And there's a reason. So I see Zane King low. I don't know if he'll pop his ult and head back top or go by. He's not sure either. He was recalling for a second. Now he's not. Red team's looking to pick up Dragon. That should be a very easy acquisition for them. The gold is currently tied up. So with red team taking this Dragon, they'll pull a little bit ahead. It's an early game Dragon, so it's not going to be a tremendous lead that they'll garner from this. So we'll have to see. This is The forces of this game are building up in an interesting way already, because blue team has a stronger mid lane and maybe a stronger top lane. I have heard mention that Akali really dumps on Mundo throughout the game. I don't know if that will stay that way. We'll have to find out. Zane King did play a really good Mundo so far and got a surprise kill. So the mid lane, at the very least, is very far ahead for blue. Odd One's doing really well for blue, but the bottom lane is losing in a tremendous fashion. Whereas red potentially is struggling at top, is struggling in mid, but has a phenomenal bottom lane. Their jungler is also behind comparatively, but has a phenomenal bottom lane. So it's all really going to come down to who gets the global gold rolling. Unless there's only two ways it'll turn out. It'll be who gets the global gold rolling, or it'll turn into this massive brawling slugfest. Zion Spartan absolutely crushing down Mundo there. Takes so many turret hits, does not even care. He's going to recall long before Yeppo manages to show up. So he's perfectly safe. So yes, it would appear that it might be turning out that top lane is very much favoring blue. Zion Spartan had a very prolonged turret dive there, and that didn't bother him in the slightest. He's perfectly okay with that, and he really never even got all that low. He probably could have taken 2 more turret hits. He would have died from the second one, but anyway, he could start getting some lane dominance going. Rekkry and Bella still struggling so much. Bella now 2 levels behind Graves, 1 level behind Nidus. Rekkry has managed to stay up to date on levels, but eesh, God, they're just going to continue to fall further and further far behind. They're already 30 CS behind on the 80 carry scale, and it's, if the laning phase continues, it's only going to get worse at this point. Now there's no flame chompers, so they can't even get remotely within range of Nidus. Unfortunately, they happen to get caught in range of Nidus anyway, and down goes Bella. Bella now 0-4, really struggling. I'm not certain that that's necessarily because Bella is bad at support or bad at Zyra. This is a really aggressive and successfully aggressive bottom lane. Great flash by the Odd One to avoid Nidus Herman. Unfortunately, though, there's not enough damage to follow up. Rekkry is trying, but she really doesn't have what she needs. Is going to get another auto attack. Still just doesn't quite have the damage output. Just maybe if Bloodthirst had been finished, or if she had Berserker Greaves, that could have been a number of different kills, since Jinx can snowball so hard off of just 1 kill thanks to getting excited. But Jinx not able to get excited, not able to pick up a kill. Great play by the Odd One. Really well done by the Odd One. Very technically precise, well executed on a mechanical level, but not enough damage to pick up a kill. Not necessarily, it doesn't necessarily matter that there was no kill. We got barrier from Graves, and looks like could have been flash and exhaust from Nicer Man. I'm not sure. No, I believe those are both used on Bella to pick up that kill. But it doesn't matter because it relieves a little bit of pressure from Bella and Rekkry. So still a good choice by the Odd One. Really helps his lane stay in the lane. This isn't going to put them on a dominant foot for their lane, but it's going to help them stay in the game. Also allows them to pick up a turret, so that helps the entire team. Somehow it looks like Jinx didn't get an assist for that, but I think that's just a bug. I believe I've heard the writer say before that you still got an assist, it just doesn't display it. Maybe it's a bug. So Zion Spartan has finished his Gunblade. Zane King has picked up a Spectre's Cowl, so he's not going to be taking quite as much damage from Zion as he was before. Plus Zion's consistently pushing, so Zane King just able to sit under his turret. There's no way Zion can take Zane King from full health to dead while under the turret. Chunky Sucks has now picked up Evolved Jump and Evolved Claws. Just hit level 11. Nidus Herman has gotten behind Rekkry. Rekkry flashes the Pulverize, so she does not get knocked up. Zion Spartan is getting ganked. He's going to go on Yeppo. Looks like looked like he might have been able to pick up the kill. He won't. He does have flash, and he flashes for it. The kill gives him an extra charge of his ultimate. He uses that to try to get away from Mundo. This might give him enough time to get a cooldown down for another Shroud. so that he can go invisible. Odd One goes in on a Chunky Sucks. He quickly changes his mind as he needs to get out of there. Uses his ultimate to travel to Nidus Herman so that he can further escape. Nidus doesn't have cooldown, so he's unable to do anything about it. Zion Spartan still somehow alive, trying to get auto attacks to proc lifesteal and his Gunblade cooldown quicker. Unfortunately, finally gets taken down. It did take a whole ult by Zane King and most of his health, so really, really good job by Zion Spartan staying alive as long as possible. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to make his way out. Fortunately for Zane King was able to just tank through every attempt Zion had to make an escape and take him down. So that's going to help Zane King come back into his lane a little bit. He just needs the resistances and he won't have such a problem. Zane King teleporting in, Uranium putting out an unbelievable amount of damage and then hitting the Zhonya's Hourglass, trying to get a bomb off on Ziggs. He does get it! Zane King doesn't manage to step in front of the bomb, and a kill for Ziggs on the way out. Odd One is now fighting up with Zane King. Zane King has no ultimate, so they will be able to take him down here. He takes Odd One down for his trouble. Nidus Herman is incredibly low, but he's going to be able to get away. It looks like he does not have Boots 5. Bella manages to use her speed boost, but unfortunately isn't able to get an auto attack and isn't able to get a spell off. Now Bella is surrounded by Lee Sin, and Bella will be going down. Yeah, Lee Sin has the Q, so Bella's going to die here. Really unfortunate for Bella. Could have maybe tried to go for a grasping root onto Yeppo. Help out Zion Spartan pick up the kill. Zion looking for Turno. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to do it due to the fact that Zion's going to be able to get vision. So, yeah, Zion's going to go down here. A little too much crowd control for him to be able to pick up either of those kills. Had he managed to down Turno or Nidus Herman, Zion Spartan would have come up with probably a double kill in that scenario. I still don't think he would have lived, but he could have come up with a double. That was a realistic possibility. So well played by Red to make sure that did not happen. Now Uranium plans on harassing this dragon attempt. He does have a lot of spell damage, so you never know, he might be able to steal it. He does not manage to steal it. Odd One has his ult up. He's just a little hesitant. Does manage to get it down onto Yeppo. Uranium's there to fall off with the damage. Huge damage on a Chunky Sucks, and Uranium takes him out. Turno dashes into the fight, but Turno has no mana. Uranium goes for a double kill, and it's going to be a triple kill. Really, really good engage and follow-up and fight by Odd One. Really great skill shots coming out of Uranium on that Ziggs. Kha'Zix has picked up a Hydra now. That should help him a lot, but again, he's still behind. So, it doesn't make him an immediate massive threat, but it should help him both clear the waves, get farms, stay alive, and actually threaten his sphere of influence, which is a term we're going to continue to use. I really, really like that for the Scarlet mid laners. Should help him keep better control over his sphere of influence. Now Bella trying to get himself a little bit more gold. 1 and 6, he's really, really having a rough time this game. He's very far behind in levels. He's very far behind in gold. Although he did the right thing by upgrading to the Talisman of Ascension, is that correct? As soon as possible. Even though he's very squishy and dies a lot for his team, he's still providing that utility. Zion Spartan getting a half-hearted gank from Nidus Herman. I don't believe that was really all that much of a threatening gank. Zion can just go invisible and try to juke his way out. It's not really a huge problem. Now, Zane King does have his Spirit Visage completed. I don't think that'll necessarily matter unless Zion has Ignite. He does. Uranium's getting dove on the tower by Yeppo. Yeppo takes the ultimate from Jinx as Uranium gets a perfectly well-timed Zhonya's Hourglass. He manages to bomb the minions off his turret, so that's not a concern. Great ult by Jinx. Great Hourglass by Uranium. Good job by them to pick up that kill on Yeppo in an otherwise dire situation. And despite being down kills, there we go. There's Chunky making use of that Ravenous Hydra. And despite being down in kills, blue team is actually up in gold right now. They have 3 turrets to the 1 of the red team, and I don't remember. They don't have the dragon that was gotten. Now, Uranium being challenged here by Turno. Normally you would think Uranium's doing really well, but the problem here is that Turno has such good damage output that he's going to be able to take down Uranium, even despite the fact that Uranium is a really, really fed Ziggs. Now, double buff Turno. Rekery is going to die to the same exact strategy that just took down Uranium. Rekery tries to flash but gets pulverized anyway. And while Nidus may be low, there's no one around to threaten. Except his father calls him Zion Spartman. Is coming around behind to try to pick some people off. Red is grouped up because they know that this is the threat. He's going to go for Turno. Gets the Shroud. The abilities all miss him. Not Lee Sin's though, so he's in huge trouble now. And he is taken down. Tried for Nidus Man. Nearly got him. Would have been very exciting, but no one was around to support him, so down he goes. I'm not sure where Odd One was in all of this. That's who they really needed. Oranium now caught out. He has a spectator bug where we're constantly hearing his Zion's Hourglass. Maybe now that he used it again, it will be fixed. A good zap from Jinx, a good knock-up from Zyra. Nidus Man's going to go down. Odd One jumps forward and also manages to pick off Turno. Odd One's going to try to chase Chunky Sucks. We'll have to see if Chunky has enough mana to eventually jump away to safety because Odd One has the red buff and there's no tower to back him up. Chunky goes for a different play, realizes he's in a lot of trouble. Now he has no mana at all though, so no jump's going to be coming out here. He's just going to eventually realize that he has to try to fight and attempts for some CS before he goes down. Unfortunately, does not get it off. So no dying CS for you, Chunky. Just go be a monkey in the base. Now Zion was doing really well. Now 3 and 4, behind Mundo on CS, behind Mundo on kills, probably behind Mundo on gold. The gold is almost exactly tied here. He is in fact 800 gold behind Mundo. So the lane was going really well for Zion. Not so much now. And we're going to have to see what he builds because he's just looking really squishy. I don't know about you watching this game, but Zion Spartan's looking like really easy kill. Honestly, I suppose he's a little bit hard to catch in the middle of a fight, unless of course Lee Sin manages to land his E or his Q, or there's a sweeper, or there's a pink ward. But yeesh, he just looks so low. Speaking of Lee Sin managing his abilities, both Lee Sin and Zane King are much tankier than Zion. He can't even compete with them on damage at all, and down he goes. Zion Spartan is just so incredibly squishy right now. It looks like maybe he's building Deathfire Grasp, so perhaps after he completes that, he'll go for some health. But yeesh, he just seems like such an easy kill for the red team. Odd One getting caught out here. He's just going to try for Yeppo. He has his ultimate up, so he will probably take down Yeppo. Unfortunately, he barely knocks Yeppo out of the Uranium ultimate, but Uranium's here to follow up anyway, try to help with Zane King. I don't think they'll be able to take him out. Turno gets surrounded by Bella and Jinx, and he gets taken out. Zane King looks like he will, in fact, escape. Odd One probably wants to give up the chase just because of the damage output the Cleaver's going to have. Jinx fired off an ultimate, expecting them to continue chasing. Chunky has now gotten behind Jinx and surrounded Jinx and Bella. If Chunky gets another jump, Rekery will die. Or, if Chunky just manages to catch up to Jinx just like that, the damage output is incredibly strong. That looks like it was probably an isolated Q that he got off there, as well as the Ravenous Hydra on use. And that's the end of Jinx. So much damage coming out here. Zion Spartan gonna try to R over the wall. A little too far, he can't do it. So he's gonna walk his way around. And blue team is gonna pick up Dragon. Red's pinging it, they know it's being done, but there's no way they get there in time. And in fact they do not. Now Zion's going out of the Dragon Pit on a way that leads him split up. Unfortunately, Red can't decide who they want to try to chase down, so Zion makes it out safe and sound. Looks like he's picking himself up red buff too, which is interesting because he's still so squishy. I was wrong about the Deathfire Grass. Zion is now going for a Zhonya's, which makes perfect sense, obviously. I don't know why I thought it would be anything else. Zhonya is an extremely important item and an extremely good item for Akali, for helping to get those cooldowns back up and giving yourself a second of safety, otherwise where you would just get exploded. Zhonya's Hourglass, the ultimate defense. Akali, a champion with almost no defense. Her defense is her mobility, agility, and invisibility. But unfortunately, almost all of those are shut down by Yeppo on Lee Sin, so Zane King gonna preemptively pop his ult. Doesn't want to deal with getting caught by Odd One. Doesn't want to deal with Zion Spartan possibly catching up and having to deal with a prolonged 2v1 that kills him. So he just pops the ult and gets out. Now, let's take a look down. Zhonya's Hourglass completed on Zion Spartan. Zhonya's Hourglass, of course, been completed on Uranium for a while. as I mentioned before, he is a very, very well-fed man. He has much of the monies. How much monies does he have? Or better question, is he the richest person on the map? He's actually not, A. And B, Odd1 is right behind him. Odd1 is 3,000 gold ahead of his jungling counterpart. Odd1 is a rich, rich man. And he's got the items to show for it, too. He's got the tank, he's got the offense. Turno hit directly in the center with a Ziggs ultimate. Yepo gets exploded. Zanking teleports in, but might be changing his mind. Turno gets picked off by Zion Spartan, who's also going to annihilate Kha'Zix for a double kill, and Zanking has to run out on his own and recall the base, and blue team is pinging for Baron. Now, I don't know if red is going to be able to see this happening. Not really. They might be able to... I'm not sure if this is legit or not. That's possible. But their wards did not pick up that the blue team headed to Baron. So they will not have... They might have an alright timer on it now that they see these people wandering. Otherwise, they won't really have a very good timer on Baron, and they may not even have realized yet that Baron is on the blue team. So a really good pickup for blue there. That puts them almost 6,000 gold ahead. Of course, it gives them a lot of golden stats from the bonus stats that Baron provides. And we've now, take a breath, we settled down a little bit, calm down a little bit. Everyone's going to start gearing up for the next big fight. So Odd1 has now finished Randuin's Omen. So that gives him a lot of AoE utility, yeah, that's correct, for his team. Also makes him a lot harder to focus if you're the red team. And that's not someone you can really ignore because of all the displacement that he provides and the damage that he's going to be putting out. Bella, completely caught out, takes a Grave ultimate and dies for. Odd1 takes a second to calculate that the Graves ult is gone and realizes he should go in for this. Akali comes in, picks up the Graves. Akali picks up the Alistar, and it looks like Zion's going to try to pick up Zanking as well. Iranium beats him to it, ever so slightly. And suddenly now, 7-5, Zion Spartan, his dog calls him Zion Spartan, is on a roll. Things were looking bad at 3-4. Now he's 7-5, and he's an absolute powerhouse. When he comes in behind Odd1, Odd1 brings the pain train and the CC, and no one really has the time to focus on Zion Spartan. They're busy trying to retreat and defend, and he is just picking up kills left and right. When you see him fly in, people are just dropping down dead. Now here he goes in solo on Yepo, and as you can see, doesn't appear as threatening. Then he makes a very questionable decision in double turret diving, but he does pop his Zhonya's Hourglass, so he doesn't have the turret aggro anymore. Uses his ult and flashes out. He's getting chased down by Chunky. Chunky picks up the kill, flashes away, and then jumps out of the fight. Turno's stuck in his own minions, taking a bunch of extra auto attacks for it. He manages to get out to safety. Chunky's recalling inside his own base, because he doesn't dare walk back. I'll see if he gets home, guys. It doesn't look like it. Zane King pops his ultimate, trying to push the blue team out of his base to provide some safety for his team. Graves is dashing back and forth. He doesn't have his ultimate. He didn't for that whole fight. So he's still waiting to get a majority of his damage to come up. It looks like Rekery still has his ultimate. He fires it off at Graves. Graves gets hit by the Iranium ultimate but manages to dodge Jinx's ultimate, and he's back to base recalling. And does anyone have home guard boots on red? Yes, Yepo's now sprinting out of the base with his home guards, and he's going to pick off Rekery here. Oh, a good flash from Rekery is going to keep him safe, except that the kick lands on Iranium and Yepo goes all out for it. He is not messing around. His team is to his side, but they're not looking to support him. Chunky, who was just at full health, gets, I guess, absolutely annihilated by Odd1. I'm not actually sure what happened there. Yepo gets baited in by Bella, and he falls for that bait and gets completely exploded by Iranium and Rekery. And now 4 men from blue are looking to take down this turret. With Jinx as the pusher, they should be able to do it. It's one hit from being down. Blue's playing it safe, not jumping in for that one hit. There we go. Rekery finally managed to shoot off a rocket launcher shot. And down goes that turret. Oh, and my Doge is apparently scared again, and he's back down the basement with me. Nidus Remain jumps in to try to initiate the fight. He pops his ultimate. After some knockups, they do manage to drop Jinx. She's the first casualty of the fight, but down goes Nidus Remain in the back trying to provide CC for his team. And we're seeing Zion Spartan just go to town on everybody. All of blue is low. Zane King surely is going to fall here. No, he's just barely going to get away and live unless we see some distance ultimates like Iranium's. Turno's going to get dropped by an auto attack. Just kidding. Iranium goes for the skill shot instead and misses it. Turno survives by the skin of his teeth. And now Zane King's pushing on Iranium, who's going to get picked off by Chunky Sucks. Yeppo's back into the fight. He's got Zion Spartan mark, so that's going to be the death of Zion. Chunky's continuing to jump. I don't think he's going to be able to catch Odd One. Odd One does a really good job of Odd One does a really good job of dodging the volatile spikes? Void spikes from Kha'Zix. However, unfortunately, it does get leaped onto by Yeppo and Chunky, and he goes down in what is a really delayed ace. It's not an ace now because the bottom lane of blue is back alive, but it was a full 5-man sweep. It cost them a lot. They lost their inhibitor tower, and they lost a number of kills. Bella's about to get caught out here. Really, really, really great Flame Chompers by Rekkari combined with Bella's ultimate is going to give Rekkari possibly a double kill in this scenario. No, Nidus Herman's going to push them off, but now Nidus Herman stands to die as the Jinx damage coming out is just absolutely tremendous. She's punishing Nidus, and down goes Nidus. Rekkari now looking to see if she can happen upon a free Lee Sin kill as well. I can't believe the damage that's coming out of Rekkari there with those rocket launcher shots, but it's not that surprising because we see a pretty standard 3-item build. Okay, yeah, Bloodthirster, Phantom Dancer, Last Whisper. That's a decent amount of damage, sure. Oh, here's where the damage is coming from. Another BF sword. Okay. I understand now why those shots are hitting so hard. That is a lot of AD that Rekkari is rocking right now. 317. That is a huge amount, and it's only going to go up as she finishes what I'm going to guess is an Infinity Edge, which will work with her rockets to just be an absolute monster. Turno has picked up a Guardian Angel. Let's check out his build so far. So he's got the same build as Rekkari, except he's gone for Guardian Angel instead of another BF sword. That could pay off dividends for him. It might not matter. It all pretty much depends on how Jinx plays. If Jinx never gets caught, it's fine. Great knock-up ultimate combined with Iranium, so even though Bella gets caught, she makes the most of the situation. Zion Spartan's going for Turno, but he's not going to pick it up. Zion goes for Zonu's Hourglass. Just enough for Nidus Hermain to lose his ultimate and die. Turno does manage to pick up the kill on Zion Spartan, but now he goes down, and his Guardian Angel is essentially wasted because no one is there to protect him when he dies. Now all that's left is Zane King for another 30 seconds. So the question is Blue going to try to end the game in that 30 seconds? Is Zane King going to be able to stop them from doing that? What's going to happen? Zane King has no ultimate, so he is deceptively not tanky right now. You would think Amundo's tanky. He has no ultimate. He's really not actually that tanky. And Blue's going to go for the win right here. They've got 7 seconds left, but surely they have more than enough damage as for some reason they're focusing the minions right now instead of the Nexus, but it doesn't matter because the Nexus drops down. Iranium was not messing around with any minions. He goes for his auto attacks, and he makes use of that Ziggs passive, and we see that Nexus drop. Really well executed play by both teams, and in this case, Blue's going to pull ahead with the lead almost entirely on the back of Odd One, if I'm honest. Jinx became a monster at the end, but remember how far behind Jinx was at the beginning of the game? A perfectly fine player. Clearly, from what we could see, Rekkari is a very good Jinx player, but what Rekkari needed was a back to stand on so she could actually get those shots off, and a back is exactly what Odd One provided. Really exceptional choices by Odd One. Really exceptional times that he chose to initiate. Really exceptional targets that he chose to initiate on. Really good decision making. Really good awareness by Odd One. He ends up with almost... Well, let's see here. He ends up with more money than everyone on the opposing team except for Graves, and even then it's very close. And there's a reason for that. Odd One's great decision making was awarded with lots and lots of income. Really, really well played on his part. Hopefully our next game we'll even be able to pick up another game with the General, because man, that was an exciting game to cast.